show off my cute lemon. There's not really a great place to put that, like, down. Wow. Hey, guys. Oh, I was going to start. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, guys. I'm Blake.
And I'm PJ.
And this is the Church Podcast, episode number 27. And we're going over the cultural value of our ex-church. This one is, we are uncompromising in our mission and unconventional in our methods. And if you don't know what that means, we didn't either. I mean, obviously you know what all the words mean, but like, this is one of those ones that was like really wordy and needed explanation.
Yeah.
Which there's a couple like that was like, okay, if you just took that at face value, like that could literally mean anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like we were talking about in our pre-episode.
Which you can see if you're a
patron.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
A supportive patron.
Mm-hmm.
This cultural value was pretty pointless to me from the very beginning. And I didn't really, initially it was just because it's like I don't understand why that's one of our cultural values, without thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna, what is a new person gonna come in and benefit from that? Nothing. And then over time, what came out with cultural values like this one was that there was just so much gray area for interpretation, and that left a lot of room for manipulation from the pastors. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, we're unconventional. That's so individual. Like what's unconventional for me, and what's unconventional for them, totally different things.
I mean,
so how do you relate on that?
Yeah, I feel like, another way this could be read is like, we are stubborn as fuck, and we also do weird stuff. It's like,
we're crazy and stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually like exactly how they were about it. Like being uncompromising. I want to read my note real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Say what you just said again. I'm starting to lose why I was.
Oh, that another way you could say it is like we're stubborn. As fuck and do weird shit.
Yeah, so. What?
I feel like you're going to say something funny.
Oh my gosh, don't put pressure on me. No, I was waiting for my TRS to kick in.
I was thinking that too. I was like, okay, help him out.
Fucking Joe Biden.
Oh gosh.
No, so they were uncompromising on their mission, which was a totally different thing from our mission, which is what was important. It was like, this is our church. The cultural value itself says that we are uncompromising in our mission. Well, in order to have our mission, we have to agree about what the hell we're doing. And I didn't agree with a lot of things they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So they would compromise they would compromise our mission for their mission. So they were uncompromising on their mission, not our mission.
Right.
They constantly compromised our mission.
Yeah.
Which, it was like, for example, with the head pastor, like he based on his behavior didn't want to grow, didn't want to have a mega church like the executive senior pastor did. Mm-hmm. The senior pastor wanted to kick back. He was comfortable. He was chilling with where we were at. He had plenty of money for what he needed in life and the level that he wanted to work. So totally different missions, and by his behavior, he he was compromising our mission, you know, it's just weird. It's like even just like trying to talk about it. It's like there's so many fucking aspects to that cultural value. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I feel like it could go so many different ways too, like with how we talk about it, because from one perspective it's like, well, they definitely were uncompromising, you know, but then on the other side it's like they did some unconventional things in a sense. I can share that car story in a second, but then on the same token, they like took all their ideas were just from other churches that were bigger than them. Like literally nothing that they did was original or unconventional in
Right.
that way. Like absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, just because the churches in Chico aren't doing that exact same thing doesn't mean that it's unconventional and like crazy.
That's
it's
actually
like,
kind of an interesting like oxymoron then. Like, so because they're uncompromising, we were completely conventional.
yeah.
Because it's like anytime I try to throw out some idea of how we can fix something that sucks,
Yeah.
it's like no, you know, whatever. I wasn't thinking of an example, but it was like I just know. Like there was no. Well, here's a good example. The time that we were doing the worship summit, we talked about, and we were going to just play an old testimony, a good testimony.
Oh yeah.
But an old testimony, which was unconventional because we had this system of like we have new testimony every week, and we were torn to shreds for that decision.
Well, and also, so the first reason we wanted to do that was because, like, we wanted to extend the worship summit so that we could like finish what we started there.
We thought it was more important to work on the team.
Right. Which in the long run, 1,000% more important. But then also, like, the people who are on the worship, like, music side of it, we're getting really stoked about, like, incorporating this, like, older testimony into, like, the middle of the worship set. So it's going to go from, like, out of a song into the video, and then, like, into, like, another song. It's going to be, like, this cool new thing, and, like, everyone was super stoked about it. Like, this is a message that we want to, like, scream today, and everything is going to say this one word, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like, because they were so uncompromising, we
Yeah.
were never able to be unconventional and be fluid and make changes on the fly and come up with a new plan without clearing it with fucking them every time. You know, it's like why do we have to fight every time we want to be unconventional?
yeah. Which,
Well, because we're uncompromising.
it's actually so funny that you bring that up, because there was one time where I went forward with something without talking to the executive senior pastor, that What is Love video. So for Easter, it was 11 minutes long. And so I didn't want to talk to her about it before because I knew she would say no. Because the plan was to, like, make it black and white, film in an airport hangar, bring a bunch of people out, interview, like, all these different people.
Why did you think she wouldn't like it?
Because as soon as I would say airplane hangar, she wouldn't get the vision, so I would have had to omit that. And then if I would say that we were bringing a bunch of people, she would have wanted to know exactly which people we were bringing out to make sure that they were, like, our demographic. And then if I was going to say, like, we're going to interview all these people, so it's going to be a bit longer than our normal, you know, like, 3-minute testimony videos. I could, even if I shared it, like, in an extremely artsy way, showed her, like, all these pictures and stuff, like,
So you just put that in the set without...
No, I filmed it all.
Oh, you finished it?
I said I'm working on a big project, but I don't want to show you until it's at a point where it's, like, you're actually going to like it.
Uh-huh.
And, because she kept asking, so what testimony are we doing for Easter? It's got to be good. And I'm like, I know it will. And I was, like, really scared because I was like, I sat them down and I was like, okay, so this is, like, still a little bit of a pre-edit. At that time, it was like 15 minutes long, and we cut it down to 11. I was like, it's long, but I think you're really gonna like it. I already had music in there. I had made it all black and white already, and like both of the pastors were crying. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, this is what happens when you just let me be creative and do the job that you like hired me to do.
It makes me want to throw up thinking about them crying.
Well,
just
side
sorry.
note. No, but it's, I mean, that's what was so frustrating though, because then even after that point, it was like, oh my gosh, yes, like the team can create something so great. Like, I'm really glad I had like nothing to do with that, you know? But then like 2 Sundays later, it was like, well, where's this? Where's that? Like, and it went back to the same old shit, you know? And it was like so frustrating because I was like, I felt like I was able to show them, hey, like I can do like really awesome stuff if you just like get out of the way and aren't trying to be in like every single little tiny detail, you know? Because I knew if I were to give her like the list of people we're going to interview before, she would have like, you know, said no, don't have them come or stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, that was really frustrating because when you would try to be unconventional, you weren't allowed to be unless you were secretive about it until you had a final fucking product, and people can't like work like that all the time, you know? It's like you can't just like not tell them anything until it's done every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, because they wouldn't let you for one, but.
So funny how they like would kind of, this happened to me a lot. I'm guessing it happened to other people. Like, you need to work on your leadership, you know, and then, you know, we'll promote you. You need to work on this and that. And, you know, I just remember so many times that it was like some kind of insult that they would throw at me. Well, I never really, you know, side note, we mostly talk about the executive pastor because she was the one everyone dealt with. Homeboy was sitting up in his treehouse, like, avoiding confrontation and just, you know, looking like he was the best. But anyway, so she mostly was the one telling me, like, why God wasn't promoting me in my leadership. But
As if she knows.
But it was, I wasn't, you weren't growing in leadership. Nobody was growing in leadership as much as we could have because they weren't good leaders.
Right.
They didn't know how to let people be free to do what they were tasked with. It was like, this is my task, or is this your task? Or I just stand here and do what you tell me to do?
Right.
Yeah, anyway. So, unconventional. Almost every. Oh, I started writing a note and didn't finish it.
Well, I feel like on that, like that reminded me of just this other note that I had written, where it was definitely unconventional to have so many of their volunteers in like actually high level volunteer positions and not pay any of them. Mm-hmm. And the ones that they did pay, they paid really like shitty, like just to scrape by so they wouldn't be homeless, pretty much. Yeah. So they wouldn't pay them enough to pay their rent and have food, you know, let alone gas to go anywhere, to go to all these meetings all over town. But I feel like that was something that was like, I mean, obviously so frustrating. And another idea that they got from like some big church, like, wow, like if we're just great leaders, then like we don't have to like pay these people, you know, like look how many volunteers they have. But the thing is, those churches also have a ton of staff that they do pay, and they pay them well, and they give them good benefits and good vacation time, you know. And what like the church that we went to would ask of the volunteers in leadership positions was just like way above and beyond. And they would always like dangle that carrot, like, well, you'll get hired if you are a good enough leader and bring in a bunch of people that can basically pay your salary.
Which brings me to another point, like talking about uncompromising. Being uncompromising on the mission means that you are, it's very important to you, right? And you will do whatever you need to do for the mission to succeed. And so many times people left the church, right? People are the mission. We're trying to grow the church. What's the church? People. Like, they just would run people off that weren't aligned with their subliminal mission, the real mission, which was just kiss my ass. Make me feel good about myself, basically.
That's true.
You know, but they would run people off, and so they constantly compromised the mission.
Right.
You know, like you were saying, it's like, well, we just spent months recruiting and training, and now all these people are gone because of your stupid attitude.
Right. Ugh.
So thanks for compromising the mission.
Oh my gosh, that was seriously so annoying. Like, yes, people would come in that we brought in, or would come in and we would make like friends with them, you know, and then they didn't want to serve every single Sunday and lead a small group and do all this other stuff. And so then, because that's not normal, you know, normal people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so they don't have time to do that. Normal people have like lives and stuff to do. So, because these like people who were our disciples, like, didn't want to do that, then now we're a bad leader, and then we have to have awkward conversations with them about stuff that like we don't even 100% believe for their life, you know? Mm-hmm. And then like, then they would just eventually stop coming because they didn't want the executive pastor to keep asking them, like, why, you know, how can we like get you more involved? It's like, well, I thought I was, you know, in any normal church, like, coming on Sunday and serving one service even every other week, that's pretty normal, you know?
It's interesting how much freedom and patience they wanted with their growth process and their mistakes and all that stuff, but nobody else gets it. Yeah. Nobody else gets grace. I mean, like, she literally said to me in a text when everything happened with us, like, PJ, there's no love, there's no grace. Like, I forget everything she said in that sentence, but I will never forget her saying, there's no love and there's no grace. Are you a fucking Christian? Mm-hmm. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, they are just people who should not be trying to help other people.
Yeah.
It's so odd that they're so obsessed with being these fucking leaders of people and like pastors and what is he doing now?
A motivational speaker wants to do a TED Talk or something.
Motivational speaker, fucking like influential.
A comedian, I think it was.
No, the other one where he's like helping people, like life coach.
Life coach, yeah.
Why do you want to be a life coach, bro? You don't like people. Like you don't. People don't like you. You don't like people. Go. I don't know. Go on fucking like Social Security finally.
I know. Well, no, because then we gotta pay for his ass.
Anyway, Unconventional. Here's a good point. I think in the back of their minds, they really loved this cultural value because unconventional meant that we're the best. We have the best ideas, and all these other churches, they suck.
They are so typical Christian.
They're so outdated, and we're so unconventional, and like so it you know, like basically didn't really have anything to do with us actually performing in an unconventional way.
Right.
What it was just like a badge of honor, like, hey, we are unconventional and you're old school traditional boring church.
Yes.
Come here because we have like awesome, and it's not even unconventional anymore, really. Like, I mean, how many churches are exactly the same? Probably have this exact same cultural value.
Oh yeah, they all of the like non-denominational churches all have cultural values.
Wearing fedoras and fucking, their skinny jeans and
yeah.
and hella expensive shoes and it's just ridiculous. It's like
I mean, I like a good fedora, but now I don't even want to wear mine because
I don't want to look like homeboy worship pastor.
I know. So when we first started talking about doing a series going through all of these cultural values, I had this story in my head that I really wanted to share because I felt like it was gonna, I don't know, it's just like an interesting story and I wanted to share it, but I didn't know which one to fit with. I feel like it kind of fits with this one, maybe not, but this is an example, I feel like, of how the executive senior pastor is really trying to be unconventional, because in her mind, I think that, well, I'll tell you what I think at the end of the story.
I'm going to blow their minds with a parable.
Yes. I think, because also, so the story is at the worship summit. We've got a lot of stories from there. Honestly, it was crazy week.
Well, that was like a really, really pivotal moment.
It was.
It was literally, I feel like, if we had gone on the course that we were setting with that weekend, we might all still be there.
Yeah.
But it continued down the shit path and crumbled.
Yep. So we are reading all of these, awesome leadership books about business people and stuff. And every, morning or afternoon or whatever, we'd have some type of ministry session and stuff. And so this afternoon, we were...
on purpose though, right?
No.
Just because everybody was drama.
Yeah, well, everyone on that team except for me was a feeler. So I don't think that helped. And I think the worship pastor was not a feeler also. I think both of us were and then the rest of the 14 people were all
I would say he was a feeler.
I think he is, but I don't know if that's what came up on that test, but I definitely think he is. So that did help when we were trying to go over conflict. So we're going over 5 dysfunctions of a team, talking about everyone chipping in on the team and stuff. And I was bringing up how I felt like I was doing everything on the team, even for the music side of stuff, making set lists and stuff, because I knew we had to have one, and that is not my job and not something that I'm good at, or should be doing. I don't know anything about any of that. And so, but I knew that the people on the team needed to know what the heck the set list was. So I would be working with the girl who was I would say second in command and be okay, we need to get this out. What do you think about this? And she would put in all the keys, and worship pastor was oh, I guess this is what we're doing. So I felt like I was annoyed because I was doing everything for their team, for their side of the team, and my side of the team. And so then, and also here's what else happened. The worship pastor kicked back, and he was saying he felt like he was doing everything. And I'm how can that possibly be? Because you're not making set lists, and I am. So, how can you feel like you're doing everything? You're not even doing what you're supposed to be doing. But he felt like he had to do everything for the worship summit. And he was the only one preparing for that. Even though it was his idea, he was supposed to get a team of people together to work on it, and he forgot about it or just pushed it off or something. And so he felt like he was having to do it all. And so then, yes, now as I'm talking about this, I remember exactly why she picked me. So then the executive senior pastor was in the bathroom listening to all of this. So she's okay, everyone get up. And we're okay. She's we're doing an activity now. And so we all go outside and we get in one girl gets in a car to drive it or whatever. The executive senior pastor gets in the car, and she tells me to push the car. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm the smallest person here. And she was like, nope, push the car. And I was like, okay. And so I start, like, pushing the car. And mind you, at this time, I wasn't working out or eating well at all. Like, I was completely out of shape. And I had asthma. I had all these things wrong with me. So I'm pushing this car, and then slowly she keeps adding on everyone. So the whole entire worship team is sitting on the car, in the car, in some type of way. And I was, like, pushing this thing up and down the street for, like, a long time. Like, it was a long time. And so then she was like, how come nobody's, like, getting off to help her? And then all the guys were like, oh, yeah. And so then they all jumped off. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because it's a fight. If we don't just follow every command that you make, we have to fucking get into a fight about it. So you didn't say push the car, so we didn't do any of that. It's like so annoying.
Right, because
so annoying how we were all just like fucking, you know, tell me what to do, please.
Yeah, well, I feel like you guys were afraid if you got off to help me, she would have been like, why are you getting off to help her? Get back on the car. Which she probably would have done. So either way...
She told us, why aren't you pushing? You told us to get in the car.
Yeah. Either way, you guys are wrong.
Stupid? What, like, trying to get to the point of what are you trying to say here? What are we doing?
Yeah.
God damn.
So then, by the time we get back, I'm, like, having an asthma attack. And I'm telling her, like, I need to stop. Like, I can't breathe, you know? And she's like, keep going. And I'm just like, I literally, like, I don't know how I did that, honestly. But, so we get back inside.
You're stronger than you think.
Yeah, I definitely am. So, we get back inside. I didn't have my inhaler, so I had to use a worship pastor's inhaler.
Ew.
And it was, like, it was just so terrible, and I was sore for, like, so long. And so her whole point was, like, oh, you know, if only one person is trying to push this whole, like, load, like, that's not right. Like, everyone needs to, like, pitch in and help, you know? But it's like, it was just too far. And I was expressing how I was feeling, and the worship pastor was expressing how he was feeling, and she took his side because nobody was helping him with the worship summit, and that's the thing we're doing at that moment, so that was the most important thing. And so that's the point she was trying to get across. And I think, especially because we were going through, like, all these leadership books, in her head, she was like, when they write a book about me, they're going to put this story in there, and people are going to read it and be like, wow, I want to be a leader just like that. That's exactly, like, I know exactly that's what she was thinking, because she wants to be famous. And so I just share all that to say, you know, in her head, I feel like it was like, oh, I'm living out this cultural value of being, like, unconventional, uncompromised, because I'm making them all get out there and push this car. Meanwhile, like, I'm, like, having an asthma attack and telling her, and she's, like, just thinking I'm being, like, wimpy or something, you know, I don't know. But anyway, it was really frustrating. I was really mad. I was, like, super pissed about that. Nobody else cared, though, that I was upset. I felt like nobody else cared. They might have cared, but obviously they couldn't share that they cared because then you would be on her bad side. So anyway, I've been dying to share that story.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
That's pretty much all I have to say about that. I feel like the worst part about that cultural value.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the best part about it. I'll start with that. It sounds so cool. We are uncompromising in our mission and unconventional in our methods.
Right.
Oh, it's so deep. And the person who came up with that is really good with words.
Yes,
So
yes.
it makes perfect sense. But it was just so vague and open to interpretation that it ended up just being one of many cultural values that were used as weapons against our own people.
Yeah.
It was just like, how do you argue? How do you argue with somebody who has more authority than you, and apparently has more authority than you? It's a fucking podunk church.
Yeah.
But, you know, they convince people they're authorities of God, And how do you sit there and stand your ground with someone who's willing to escalate the situation to the point of you leaving? You don't. So it's lose-lose. It's just it's too easy for this as a cultural value to be used against people because there's gray area. It's open to interpretation. It's a bad cultural value. Stupid. And there was too many anyways.
I agree.
This has been episode 27 of the Church Podcast. This is a very long series because there was too many goddamn cultural values at that place. So thanks for being with us and watching if you're watching. Please share your feedback. It's just, it's really cool to hear from people from the past that are not still locked in that like dead zone of religion. I don't know. Not that being a Christian is bad.
That's not what I was going to say.
Oh, what?
I was going to share what the next episode was going to be about because it's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Well, before Blake shares what the next episode is about, please subscribe and hit the like button so we can boost our algorithm, basically.
Yeah. Yep. So our next episode is on Be Excellent. That was one of my favorite ones to hate.
Be excellent. That was like a fucking bazooka.
I know.
This is shit. Why do I have to do everything for you? This is not excellent. This is dust.
Okay. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.